21 years, Thistle Farms has been a witness to the truth that in the end, love is the most powerful force for change in the world.
Hate kills, birds fly, rocks roll, tears cry, and love heals. Whiskey burns, and records scratch, wheels turn, sparks catch, and love heals. Oh, I never seen a broken heart, one shattered and torn apart, that could not come back together. And I've never known a life so heavy, couldn't stand on legs unsteady, and one day run light as a feather. Baby, here's a deal. Love heals. Sunsets, suns rise, on regrets and alibis. Dreamers dream, some dreams come true. We're caught between a hell that's coffee black and heaven that's sky blue. Oh, I've never seen a broken heart, one shattered and torn apart, that could not come back together. Oh, I've never known a life so heavy, couldn't stand on legs unsteady, and one day run light as a feather. Baby, here's a deal. Love heals. And everything that's shiny one day gets broke. It's some kind of mystery, but this much I know. Love heals.
Franny, come on in.
Don't apologize for shopping. Does not work? Yeah, it does.
Say that again.
I just saying, don't apologize for shopping while we're talking. That is a good sound. Thistle Farms will do about 60% of our business in the next 6 weeks for the whole year. And so this is like the perfect time to come and have this celebration of a marketplace from stuff all over the world. And what we've said at Thistle Farms forever is if everybody that said they loved us bought their soap from us, it would be a different ball game. But instead, we get people who are like, oh my God, it's so inspiring what you do. And then they go to Target and buy their soap. So it's like, feel free. Just get up in the middle, shop, do whatever. It is a huge gift for us that really translates into new jobs and new freedoms for folks who can't imagine there's a whole community gathered trying to think about how to love and serve women in far and near places. So thank you. That is my son Levi Hummin. He just a little background. So my husband is a singer-songwriter in Nashville, Tennessee, and he just got inducted about 2 weeks ago into the Country Music Hall of Fame songwriters. And when our son was little, we asked him what he wanted to be when he grew up. And his dad said, "You want to be a priest?" And he said, "Ooh, no, that's a girl job." So he defaulted and became a singer-songwriter like his dad. So my husband and son wrote that song for us at the opening of our new cafe. And it's just a fun family treat to get to share it with this family out here on the West Coast.
Yeah, this is great. So we're just going to sort of ease into things here. This is your third time, I think? Third or fourth? It's got to be third time because I've been here for 3 years. And so we've known each other for more than that, yeah. And so part of why when you all first called me to be rector here at All Saints Church, I think it was Mary Ann Ahart who asked, said, "Can you recommend a book that the whole congregation can read to get ready for your coming?" And it took me about 5 seconds to name the book, which is Find Your Way Home. Yeah, and it was like that. And Find Your Way Home is the spiritual principles of what was then called Magdalene. And it was written by Becca and this amazing group of women. And the reason I said that book is because Thistle Farms is the model for me of community, of people who are just real with each other, who live in communities of love and healing. And if you ask me what the church is supposed to be, the church is supposed to be a community of love and healing. And so we've been so blessed for the last 3 years for Becca and different women to come back. Anika has been here before. I don't think Jennifer's been here before.
Jennifer, have you been here before?
There
Welcome.
You go. Okay. Yeah. Welcome to All Saints.
Jennifer just published a new book called Delivered. And it's her story of trafficking beginning with abuse, like so many women in Ohio, and what that looks like. And she's been on the road with another group from Nashville. You know, we can't do anything without music in Nashville. Y'all know that. And she's on the road with a group called the Bittersweets. And they have been on the road the last 3 weeks all over the country sharing. So they sing along with the book. There's a whole show if you look it up. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And so this is one of the things I noticed right away, and it's part of what drew me to All Saints, is we have shared values with Thistle Farms. Our values of radical inclusion, courageous justice, joyful spirituality, and ethical stewardship, our talk of love without judgment. We all have the same vision for community, and so we naturally think, well, how can we learn from each other? How can we be in partnership with each other? A couple summers ago, we can talk about this, there's a partnership, a women's cooperative starting in Ajijic, Mexico, called Moringa Madres. And
I've been wondering how you say it. Thank you. Ajijic?
That's how they told us when we were down there.
Okay,
I may be absolutely getting that wrong, but that's what I got when they brought us down there.
That's good because I've been saying it wrong.
Okay, well, or maybe I've been saying it wrong. But
It's me.
It's Ajijic.
Ajijic. Okay, well, Franny's the arbiter of this, and it's Ajijic. And it's an amazing group of women. There's a woman named Yusela there, and they harvest moringa leaves from moringa trees, which is like this superfood, high nutrition. They make tea, they make dietary supplements, lots of stuff. Right? Make oils for your hands and your face. And at All Saints, we have some discretionary grants, and we've been helping them build that organization there. And then Franny is pulling together the Global Advisory Council for Thistle Farms and asked me to be on that. And so really what we wanted to do today is to just have some conversation and have you all share some stories and hear from Anika and Jennifer also. But talk about where we've been, but also say where are we going and are there ways that we could go there together? And so just want to kick it over to you for a little bit. Can you talk about the beginnings of, talking to you,
Okay.
Can you talk about sort of the beginnings of Thistle Farms Global and sort of where we are and what's going on?
Sure, and I just want to say that on the Moringa Madres piece, Mike helped lead the whole, he came down, there was a small team of us, and he helped lead a 3-day, it wasn't a strategic planning, it was just kind of fun strategic dreaming. Like, how do we dream together, and what do we need? We need more local markets. We need more women hired. We need more training for the women who are there that want to understand, I'm just really beginning to understand, Excel spreadsheets are not a universal language. That it takes just somebody sitting down for me to help me understand how to do it. And just really practical stuff, like how do you order capsules if you want to put moringa in capsules for a local market, or if you want to do, start blending it for school lunches in the middle of San Juan Carlos there. I mean, like, how do we do this stuff? So it was really fun, and it was really like this beautiful practical thing. And one of the things that happened when we left is that we were able to raise enough money to buy a golf cart. It is the cutest golf cart you've ever seen, with like fringy stuff, and it's beautiful. And it makes a huge difference to go into a moringa field and be able to put it in a cart and carry it out versus carrying it on your back. That's a huge difference. And sometimes I think I don't know who we is, me, get caught up in like all this systematic stuff, and we forget the practical side sometimes. Like, if we can't change the whole world, then we just have to keep discussing it again and again and again and again and again and again. And it's like, also, sometimes we just need to do small things and watch how things change. I was at this beautiful conference, and one of the Vanderbilt professors was on the panel with one of the women from Thistle Farms, and she talked about leaving the prison at midnight, and that she just hit the sidewalk, and she was back to, having to call her old pimp and drug dealer. And the woman on the panel with her, the sweet Vanderbilt professor, said, "Tell me more about that sidewalk." And Regina goes, "Well, it's like 4 feet wide. It has some cracks in it." Like, the Vanderbilt professor immediately wanted to go to the metaphor and the hierarchy of this and the issues of the sidewalk for women. And Regina is like, "I just need a car." That's what it's like. Sometimes we stay in that space. And what I love about this global movement is we hit the sidewalk, the actual sidewalk, not the metaphorical one. And we are about these small communities of women. So it started with the idea that we can do better as a community than fair trade. Fair trade, the market says, okay, this is worth, let's say the moringa's worth $3 a pound. And then you have a manufacturer, a distributor, a wholesaler, and a retailer, and everybody doubles that. So it ends up that you're selling it for $40 a pound, but the $3 a pound doesn't change for the providers. So if we can knock out some of those links in the market chain, we can raise the value for the producer. So what we do is we start with that $40, whatever the retail value is, and we commit to 50 to 60% of that going back to the producers. So instead of $3, you make $20, and we can do the distribution, the warehousing, the shipping, the marketing, all of it for that amount of money. And we're learning, we don't lose money on that. You don't make money, but what you do is you make community. And so what we're trying to do with this global marketplace is really usher in a kind of radical notion of shared trade. If you want to, hashtag something this morning, let's hashtag shared trade and start talking about it more. I mean, I think someday we'll be like a good housekeeping seal for justice work for women in the world someday. Right now it's just a few people talking about it. But it's a beautiful, fun thing to talk about. So we started in Rwanda. We've ended up being in 32 countries. 20 countries, 32 partners in 20 countries. And this year our focus is really Love Beyond the Borders, and we're focusing on 10 of the groups that we get to work with, all in South America, Mexico, Central America, and really doing some of that beautiful work with some amazing women that, are healing their communities. The other term we're really trying to focus on for everybody is survivor artisans. Survivor artisans, that's the other idea, is that these beautiful artisans who also happen to be survivors of trafficking, prostitution, of addiction, of undignified, horrific, systematic poverty, of all kinds of systems that are set up against them. I could keep talking, but I'll stop.
No, that's good. That's good. So, Franny, do you want to talk about, you all know Franny Hawkishnik has been a part of the All Saints family for a while.
For a long time.
And it's great. So
And
it always feels like home having you come back.
It does feel like home.
And can you talk a little about how you got involved in the global piece?
Yes.
And sort of where we're heading right now?
Yes, well, it was grace, is how I got involved. I had, in my position as the director for contemplative engagement, I wrote my own job title, Trinity in Menlo Park, I had become deeply involved in addressing violence against women around the world and had begun to focus on areas in the world that were signs of hope for women who had experienced unspeakable violence. And I ended up being deeply involved with Eve Ensler. How many of you know Eve Ensler? Yes. She had a dream that became a reality. It's called the City of Joy in Bukavu in the Congo. Congo, you might also have heard of Denis Mukwege, who recently received the Nobel Peace Prize. So I went several times with her to witness the incredible transformation that women can experience, turning their pain into power, just through community, through love. And through actually also learning the skills of organizing and of surviving in the world. But Congo's a long way away. And my prayer was, God, isn't there something a little closer? And I met Becca at a festival called the Wild Goose Festival at its first year, about, 2000, I would say, I can't even remember, 10 years ago.
That's good, you got 2,000.
Yeah, she knows I'm not the numbers person. She's a math major, just saying. So hence the numbers flow fluently. So Becca approached me and surprisingly was absolutely unabashed in selling the product, which is the bug spray. She said, it's a buggy day, you need a little bug spray. And so she was spraying me and everyone else, and I was literally swept up into the geranium scent. And it led me with Becca to the table where you all, I'm sure, will spend lots of time and money over there. And I was so drawn to the incredible survivors, leaders who were, it wasn't just the lavender smell, it was their joy. It was their sense of community and joy, and it was the center of life in this at Wild Goose. So to make a long story short, Grace really connected me with Thistle Farms because it's a deeply rooted, absolutely beloved community in Nashville. They take enormous, probably more pride than they should, given some of the challenges you've had, but also the incredible support and generosity in Nashville of Thistle Farms, which I think is a model for any city. But it was just growing into its national scope. And Becca asked me, because of my story of being in Africa and of the women around the world, she knew that I had a heart for the world and for women across the world who, no matter how diverse their stories might seem, they share the same realities, right? Right, you know so well. And so I've been absolutely grateful beyond belief. Watch out, you get involved in Thistle Farms and there should be a warning sign, your life will change forever. So my gift and my focus has been in helping to dream and make real the global reach of Thistle Farms. And the other thing I wanted to say, and I want you to be able to talk to, Annika, is obviously that we're in a time where we need to break down silos. We live in so many different communities, and now is the time to partner beyond ever before. And so the other organizations that I've been involved with that are doing this global work are a part of this dream as well, and we're dreaming of ways that we can collaborate, especially in the Love Beyond Borders work. Nobody can do it alone. So we have to come together and ask each other questions and find answers. And as you said, keep weaving, which is what we've been doing in Greece. So That's enough.
Yeah, and so the heart of all this is women gathered in community. And Anika, first of all, welcome back to All Saints Church. It is so great to have you back here. Yeah. And can you just talk about your experience of community and what it has meant for you? You should be. Josh, we got her up?
Hello?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. So my name is Anika Rogers. I am a 2015 graduate of the Magdalene program of Thistle Farms. I'm sorry, they didn't change the name. Okay, can you hear me? All right. I come from molestation. I come from addiction. I come from rape. I come from silence. I come from homelessness. And the things that I come from, being in community was nothing that I knew about. And so to find a way out and know that there is a loving community just for me, who understood where I came from and didn't ask any crazy questions. They just asked, what's going on and how can we help you? And that was the most important thing that I ever had asked to me, because not once did anybody ask, what's going on and how can I help? I never received any of that. And so when I came into Thistle Farms, it was a dream come true. I was able to gather my life back piece by piece. And I was there for 2 years. I was able to go through therapy. I was able to receive dental assistance. I was able to receive computer skills. I was able to work and make a fair wage. So I was able to take care of my 3 kids, you know, and that's very important. And I always feel like I didn't deserve it, you know, because I have 82 arrests and because of the things that I've been through, you know, but they said I did deserve it. And they said I am worthy. You know, community to me is just basically loving, understanding, compassion, you know, empathy, just standing side by side with your sister when we're going through, and even when we're not going through, because we celebrate each other. We celebrate life, we celebrate another chance. And I'm so grateful for the candle that they lit, because I had a relapse. And what if the community had left me when I left myself? I don't think I'd be here today in front of y'all. And so the unconditional love and just believing in somebody, even when they don't believe in themselves, is phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? So I'm here to sit and say thank you, Thistle Farms. Thank you, community. Thank you, All Saints. Because God has allowed me to find my way back. And so, hands down, without any hesitation, mine is to tell the story for the next woman coming in. And so that's what community means to me. Oh, I'm sorry. And I am part of the global team, helping women all over. That's another part of community. And I'm getting my first passport ever so I can go visit some of the women.
Well, what I'm hoping is that you all can help dream with us, because you caught us at a really good time. We are in a process now, and we've identified these are the core values, and I talked about them: radical inclusion, courageous justice, joyful spirituality, ethical stewardship. And we've put those values into a mission statement. We're an Episcopal church walking with a revolutionary Jesus, loving without judgment, doing justice courageously, embracing life joyfully, reverently inviting all faiths and peoples into relationship for the healing and transformation of ourselves, our community, and the world. It's a mouthful, but it's pretty good. And now we're looking at, and now we're looking like, well, so what does it look like to actually, you talk about the practical stuff. What does it love to look like? Yeah, to live that.
So just for full disclosure, I want to tell you what I want to do to further our relationship. Is that all right?
Go for it.
I mean, if I'm coming in with just some hopes, I feel like I might as well say it, because when am I going to get a chance to do it again? And what's unique about this community is that this isn't a one Sunday stand. You know, that this is a relationship that's been developing, and we've proven that we can actually grow some work together and do it. So here's the areas that I'm hoping that we advance our relationship in. One is that I think it's time to have a pilgrimage from All Saints to Thistle Farms in Nashville. You're going? There's two,
Yay.
3, 4,
Yay.
5.
That's
Perfect.
That sounds like a
No,
transformational
this
journey.
Is perfect.
Yeah,
This
that
is
sounds
gonna
like a
be good.
TJ.
And listen, I will whine and dine y'all's ass when you get to Nashville. I will give you country music, whatever you want to do. But we need to have this in this relationship. You need to come meet my folks.
Yeah.
And I think that would be beautiful. And when we can dig in gardens, we can do tours, we can do some great brainstorming on how to market better on the West Coast once you've seen it. But sometime in the year 2020, that's one thing that I want us to commit to this morning. The second thing is that we are rewriting that book that Mike talked about, and I want it to be another church read. And so what I'm hoping is that we can get 3 or 4 people. My email is becca@thistlefarms.org. That is my email. And if you are an editor, we are going to self-publish this thing. And we're going to need some eyes, and then maybe when the first draft comes out, it can be a church read again for people who are willing to read it. And it'll be a test case. And I told Mike when we come back next year, we're going to stay on Monday and then bring that book into the women's prison here. And so that's the second thing, is this commitment to our new version of this book. Y'all have some folks who could really help us, both with editing and then hopefully maybe getting it distributed in the prisons here for women. It's all about women in community and recovery. And we don't need to just say that here at All Saints. We need to be saying it in the women's prison too. That's 2. And then the third one is we're going to continue on this global exploration. Mike and I and Franny and Anika, we're committed to this global movement. That is where my heart is. That is where we're headed. If you have like beautiful connections in South America, Central America, Mexico, and groups that are doing beautiful work that you want us to know about, I want you to communicate that to us. That if there is some women that could really be open to a relationship, open to development, we want to support you in all your leadership and work that you already do there, and not just ask you to keep saying, well, here's a group. But we're going to go to Peru in May. That's our next big endeavor on this, like we did for the Moringa Madres. They're positioned to grow. It's in the Andes, and it's called the Monkey Project. They make sock monkeys. So cute. But anyway, and we can tell you more about that, but really just to say, if you're a part of different groups, we want to be open and learning with what you are already doing in those areas of the world.
Yeah, and so so how does that sound? Yeah, so this is going to be part of our journey together as we figure out where is God calling us as All Saints, and you always want partners for the journey. And the great thing about it is we've got a lot of local partners here. Great partners like Union Station and the Women's Room and Young and Healthy, and we can just keep going down the list. And this will just make all those partnerships richer. This doesn't take anything away from this, but our connections that we grow out there can feed into these connections, and we become this web of community where everyone makes each other stronger. And so that's what's exciting to me about this. And then we all learn from each other, and we grow. So I'd love to just open it up to you all right now, and what questions, what dreams, what do y'all got? Anybody? Yeah, oh, awesome, great. Go for it.
As someone who has been to Thistle Farms about 5 years ago, I will make a pledge that I'll be part of the team that will lead the group to Thistle Farms in Nashville.
Outstanding.
I will.
You can work with, we'll work with Transformational Journeys, and we'll make it happen.
Women's Community and Transformational
We got 2 ministries already in. That's awesome.
There's people already that are gonna go with you, but she had her hand up.
Great. Here, did you want to make sure you have a mic too?
I
so
don't
you
think
can-
any of this.
So we had Liza.
I'm scared to use that mic.
Is there a Thistle Farms community in California? In this area?
No, there is not a Thistle Farms sister community in this area. There's the beginnings of it, and we've been out to LA a few times, but there's not formal open houses yet, but we're getting there. I mean, we are making connections and it's getting there. So our whole idea for this national affiliated network is that, you know, for sure justice is supposed to be a non-competitive sport, that we are helping each other and supporting each other. And so we have communities we've supported and helped here that work with women. But what we're interested in is a national referral service for long-term free housing for women. Y'all know that when you charge women who've been on the streets since they were 15 years old $125 a week, you're asking them to hustle. It doesn't work. It's not a halfway house for women with this particular traumatic ACEs story. It needs to be long-term and free. So that's the model and that's the referral method. And it's working. It's unbelievable that what we realize, because it's also family, that has to be non-institutional family-style living. The way I think about it is like I had 3 kids. And no one said to me, well, if you want to be an efficient mother, you need to have 10 more. You know, everybody that saw me was like, you're probably good with 3. That is plenty. But we have a world of people that when in these small communities, we raise these communities up that you feel good about and you don't feel like overwhelmed, and it's this journey that we can do together. And so the idea is these small communities that raise up and raise up and raise up is transformative. It's not just small is beautiful, small is powerful and small is wonderful. So if there's a community right here that you know about that wants to learn more about this whole National Network Alliance that's already up and going, bring them to Nashville with you. Yeah, and that's what they would be doing is we do education training days every month with communities, you know, from Mexico to Canada, have all come to do it. We're building our very first affiliated community in Belize for 5 women. And the crazy thing is that I just got a call from the State Department who was doing human trafficking in Belize, and they heard that we are opening in this house and they want to know all these details. And I'm like, you think it's like, this is very small and very, like, just a beautiful home for women. But it's revolutionary. It's the first house like this in that community, and people are very interested. So it can help inspire a whole community and change a whole community just doing this small, beautiful thing that actually we feel pretty good about that you can do. It doesn't feel like we have to stop human trafficking across the globe. It feels like, oh my gosh, I love y'all. Let's think of something we can do together. Amen. I'm sorry, that was a long answer.
Can I ask one quick follow-up question? Sorry. Becca, when a woman comes into one of these communities, if she has children, do the children come with her?
It's beyond. Hi, I'm Jennifer Klinger. I'm the volunteer coordinator at Thistle Farms. And I know for me, my kids were long gone. There are no children allowed in the Magdalene program, but it's such a long one that, you know, we had broken those ties, and Magdalene helps us reunite with our children on a slow, over time.
Yeah, and I would say that a lot of the women have babies after they come through the program. You know, that women go on in amazing families, have babies, raise all the kids. But it's not that children aren't allowed. They're allowed there. They don't live there. Right. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to live there.
But as soon we do not allow children. No, but the idea is to help women get a really great foundation and to restore those relationships where it's safe for the babies and safe for the moms. We do a lot of work to get people to pay their child support, the women. That's one of the things, to make restitution with the courts so you can even have access to the children, and that you are really safe and the kids are really safe. And when women get their kids back, which happens all the time, then they move out. And we help that transition so that they can be moms to their babies and children in more appropriate environments. We just had a woman a couple years ago, it's my favorite thing in the world. She was from New York, and she had had about 150 arrests on her record for all kinds of stuff, but her first arrest is at the age of 8. Isn't that great? Anyway, she had a group of amazing, fabulous advocates, and she went to New York, and she expunged her entire 150 arrests in about 30 minutes. And she got her kids back then. It was a miracle. I mean, it's what happens. It's the legal system and the advocates working together. And Jennifer's getting ready to go through that same journey, right?
Right.
What are you doing? I forget.
December 12th in Dayton, Ohio, I'm going to walk into the same courtrooms that convicted me and hear them apologize and say they were wrong for criminalizing a broken person. My record is going to be expunged. It's going to be a freeing moment. December 12th, Dayton, Ohio. Be there. I need you.
Okay, what else? Who else? Oh, over here.
I'm sorry, I'm so new to Thistle Farms and grateful. But I did want to understand more when you say referrals, what exactly you mean, and if you're asking, folks like us to be members of that network, or what that would look like particularly, if you would.
So what we're doing is basically, referrals means that when people have programs, like I have a program in North Carolina, I have a program in St. Louis, I have a program in New Orleans, that a woman comes and maybe she needs to be leaving North Carolina. It's dangerous. We had a woman that was referred to us from North Carolina. She left her pimp and he shot her 6 times and shot off her leg. She's 23. She needed to leave. So they could do a referral to us. We're part of the network. When Anika when she talked about her going back out for a little bit, we referred to the program that Mike started in St. Louis. And Anika got to go there and spend some time getting some healing. She needed to leave the environment of Nashville. So it's referring in and out. And it's this way for all of us to say, okay, New Orleans has a spot and they have 20 women on the waiting list in Arkansas. Can we send a woman down there? And so, like, we have women we referred to Omaha, Nebraska, and it was like, they really had thought they'd been sent to hell. And we just got a video last week of their first graduation, 2 years, and they have started Thistle Lights. It's their social enterprise, and the women are all staying. They love it. They have fallen in love. It's a beautiful thing.
That's great. Who else? Yeah. Who else?
Go ahead.
Where? Oh, back here.
So it looks to me, because I just absolutely have looked at the Smoky Mountains and all that the area you live in is just so beautiful. I'm a nature lover. I like to hike. I'm almost always hiking or outside somewhere. Do you do that with the women? Because I find that for me, going out into nature and taking, a long hike, even if that means like 2 miles total, that there's something transformative that happens in your soul. So I was just wondering, in living such a beautiful place, if you take the time to do that.
I know when I was in the program, they took the time to do that. I know at Thistle Farms, they take the time to do that, but basically it's like on an individual basis. Thistle Farms is my first true experience with a loving, healing community, because for the first 45 years of my life, with the trafficking starting in my early teens and just ugliness up through 45 years, thousands of people would drive past me every day, and they would, just the awful looks that they would give me and everything, and I I mean, I was walking a lot, and that was very healing for me, but there was no connection. And then, so yes, absolutely. Part of these walking groups where they would walk down to Hadley Park, I felt connected to a community. I also felt that healing power of nature. And then at Thistle Farms, they really encourage it. It's really good for serotonin levels. If a lot of you are experiencing post-traumatic stress, then probably a good walk will do you some good, okay? But we go over to the park across the street and do these miles, and we do these, like, who can do the most. It's like races and stuff, so. Walking has not always been safe. And I'll tell you, at the end of my road where I was, you know, they were spitting on me, and most people who looked at me, it was not a pretty look. It's just a disconnection completely. It did not feel safe. I would have to go find these little pockets to hide just to be with myself and everything. And because I didn't think nobody cared. And then I came into Thistle Farms, and I was very angry. I was, you know, my words bit. I was very aggressive, I was very defiant, and they loved on me anyway. And then one thing I know about, because there could be a devastating community, the community I was involved with before I got to Thistle Farms when I was on the streets, and then there can be a loving, transformative, healing community. And when they loved on me unconditionally, without judgment, even when I was not being very nice, it totally transformed me. And what surprises me most about being at Thistle Farms is that I'm the volunteer coordinator and I work with public every day. It's like, why do you have me do that? But it turns out because of this beautiful healing experience, I'm not willing to treat somebody the way that I was treated on the streets. I don't have it in me. I know how that feels. And so I get to greet everybody and give them the tours and work with them, and it's just beautiful. You know, love heals.
Amen. We have just a few more minutes. Could you talk? I'm going to ask you a question, which is, can you talk a little bit about your experience at the border and why Love Beyond Borders you think is an idea that is so important right now and how it relates to what we're seeing in immigration and the crisis at the border?
So I will say that we have a lot of more work and more study and more relationships to make for us. And I want to say I love you, Jennifer, so much. And I'm so grateful that what I keep learning is that for a lot of us, we've been broken open, but we haven't been broken. And that's a big difference. And I think what you were reminding me of, how I'm so grateful for the places where I've been broken open. So I have a lot to say about the border stuff. If you follow me on Instagram, I've written a whole blog on it, link in my bio, but a lot more to do. But I would say that, like, when you do interviews with folks who are in the process of being asylum seekers and they present themselves, and the laws are changing all the time, and it's confusing because no one knows what's going on because everything keeps changing and how people are processed and where they're processed. But I was sitting down talking to a group that had just arrived from Honduras, and the men spoke and the two women did not say a word. And I know that's because their journey the last 30 days was different than the men's journey. Not that the men's journey wasn't horrific, but the amount of trauma and sexual assault that happens on that journey too just adds to it. But, you know, really it takes a long time to get to a place where you even are able to put the words around some of that trauma or be able to speak it or name it or put it in a context. And there's a reason women have always been going down to the river as a group to do wash, or why we sit in a circle to do sewing. You know, those small groups of women, that's where some of the best trauma healing happens. Some of it is with in-depth long-term therapy, and some of it is if I can sit there and knit in a circle with a group of women, the stories come out naturally, you know? And we begin to dream, and it's happened over and over. I've seen it over and over again. So when we sit around, we start thinking about what we could do to make our schools better, or what we need to do to improve our health care for our kids or our friends, or get buses and camps. We could sew enough that we can start getting buses in camp. You know, all kinds of stuff starts happening. And that's what we were witnessing with the groups that we were doing, is that really that is an entity that is powerful, that holds people up and it holds people accountable. And we started looking at the groups that we already had relationships with and realized that we want to really invest more in those communities so the women have more resources to do that healing work that they want to do in their communities. And it also means that people, maybe a few people aren't leaving their communities to begin that journey. They're staying, you know, with this powerful group of women in Honduras. Because it's also a safety net, that circle of women that can do it. It's very small. What we're doing is very, very small. And we are so grateful to know our place and our smallness in that place, and that's not the same as advocates about changing laws or advocates about helping elect officials who understand the need for welcoming in our immigration system. It's not the on-site food handing on the border. What this is it's really looking at small groups of women survivor artisans and how to increase their volume in the stories that they're sharing, how to increase their distribution systems and marketplace, and what is it that they're needing, that they want in development and training so that they can be, you know, the foundation and bedrock in their communities. You want to add anything to that?
Well, I'm sure many of you have been on the border, as have I and Becca, and you witness chaos and unspeakable barriers. And it feels very overwhelming. It's something I recommend. They need hands, literally. But the thing that I'm so excited about with this dream of support, well, this commitment to support these enterprises is that it goes just away from the border into the country itself, where the refugees are pooling. Some of them are seeking asylum in Mexico. Some of them have sought asylum in the United States and are now waiting in limbo. And one of the things I just want to celebrate is what we're offering is a way of healing that is a circle of women, and it's also the dignity of work and the sense of purpose. The women refugees in Greece, when we first offered to teach them to weave, were downcast and depressed and purposeless, but willing to take a step toward hope. And we have pictures of them now where, you know, they're like, the body language says it all. Yes, it will take their lives to heal.
No, but it's not even the same women. That's the crazy part, right? I mean, here's what I want to say is that what we didn't know when we started, so if you want to go look at the welcome mats and the weaving, I know we got to go, but learn about it in the refugee camp. So much has happened, but the original 9 weavers have all been reunited with their families. They are not in the camp because when you make money, you get out of the camp. And they have taught the next group and the next group. We've had over 30 weavers, and now they're hiring 12. The women who lead that group in the camp have hired 12 more weavers because now Banksy has taken up this welcome mat from the women weavers in the camp. And once, you know, Banksy steps onto the scene, it's like, you know, we're good. We're good. You know, moving on. It's like, you know, like he's selling the mats. 100% goes back to the camp at $500 a mat now. That's crazy.
Yeah. So we do need, we're a couple minutes over. I know we got to say goodbye to everyone who's streaming, and it's great. Thanks for streaming with us. And this is to be continued, and we have a structure for to be continued now. And so just Becca, Franny, Jennifer, Anika, thank you.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you.